Okay, so here we are. I've got my palette. This is my green palette, greens and blues. I've wet it thoroughly with a Harkay brush. This is my Harkay brush. You'll see me use it again later on. It's a very useful brush. I use it a lot. I've actually done entire paintings with it. Anyway, so I've wetted it and the paint, I've let the water soak in. Meantime, I've mixed up the colours I'm going to use. I'm going to use Windsor, it's got Windsor blue green shade with some indanthrene blue mixed in. This is cerulean blue with a bit of cobalt, but I'm going to use those two anyway. And so this is the painting I'm aiming for. It won't be like that, but that's what I'm going to aim for to start with. I tend to let the watercolour do its own thing, so it is a little bit beyond my control, which is great. I love paintings being beyond my control. So the way I started off with this one was I went in with the darker colour at the top and darker colour at the bottom. And then with some of the lighter colours, I did that. And then with the darker colour, I added in a bit of activity up here because I want that line of trees on the right hand side. A bit more dark down there, a bit more dark up there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to encourage the colours to flow. I'm going to spray. I'm going to encourage the colours to flow a little bit. And this is where you lose control. And that's the best bit I like about this. I'm going to add in some more darker colour at the bottom. The bottom here. And along this tree line that I want to happen up here. Sorry about the noisy traffic. Well, I intentionally left some white areas to create a little bit of mystery. With a stick, I'm just creating some marks going up like that. Some down here as well. I would do it over there, but that's going to get covered up mostly, so I'm not going to bother over there. Right, so I'm going to let those do their own thing. And now I want some more of that light blue here. Coming down there. Again, more moving around. I find I have to wipe off these bits off the edge so as they're flowing back into the painting and spoil it a little bit, so I wipe those off. But that's creating a nice, I think I want to add more dark to this area, because a lot of it is slid off the page slightly. There. A bit more down here. A bit of depth. A bit of a vignette effect around the edges. A bit more at the top here. Helps frame the page. Right, let the colours run a little bit. Lovely. Liking what's happening here. Right, now I'm liking this stage. So what I do now is I can either add a bit of, no, I don't want that, granulating fluid. I'll add a little bit. Granulating medium. I'm going to add a little bit here. Break that area up a little bit, but mostly I'm going to add some salt, and I don't like to add the salt until it's soaked in a little bit, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit to when there's a little less moisture on the page. So as you can see, my YouTube channel, my watercolour YouTube channel has been very quiet of late. I've had very little time to record videos, but I have still been doing the odd watercolour here and there. It is my passion. It's the medium I first fell in love with when I was at college many years ago. Let's not discuss how many years. I can remember going home with a set of watercolour paints, and I painted something and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. My art was very immature at that stage, but I've advanced since then. But I've retained that passion for watercolours ever since. To me, they are the best medium. Right, so I'm just moving things around a little bit more. I want to encourage some lateral movements. A little bit of mark making that way, because I want them to look like Christmas trees or spruces. I'm still encouraging the colours to move around. The granulating medium doesn't seem to have done too much down there. That's it. Right, so now I'm just going to add a little bit, mask it off a little bit. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt down in that bottom corner there. A lot of it may get hidden. So now I've got to leave that to dry on its own. And that's the hardest part. So I'll be back once that's dry. So I've added a bit more to this area to create more of a tree-like effect there. Once it had dried, it got a little bit pale. I'm just going to run this hard edge down into the rest of the painting, keeping that white area as much as possible. There. Add a bit more dark down into that area. Again. Salt is still on there, but I'm going to let it dry again now. Okay, so that feels dry now. I'm going to brush off the salt. We don't want that anymore, but you can see where it's created quite a bit of texture down there. A lot of it's going to unfortunately be covered by the big tree I'm going to paint in over that area. And the granulation fluid hasn't done an awful lot. Granulation medium hasn't done a lot in that area, but never mind. Right, so now I'm going to do the big tree, and now this is where I use the Harkay brush again. This is going to make you go, ooh, what is she doing? So I'm going to re-wet this area, just this side here, because this is where I want to paint the tree. I just lightly apply the water, it's pure water, and let that soak in a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to mix up some green. Let that soak in a little bit. See, it doesn't move. If you're very careful and gentle with your paint, you don't move what's underneath, it just re-wets it. And that, which means I can work wet into wet, which is quite effective for something like a fir tree. It's quite effective for fur as well, if you're doing animals. So I start off near the top. It's still a bit damp actually, wait a minute, wait. You see, patience. Patience is key when it comes to watercolours. It's getting that right stage, and it's something that happens with practice. Getting that right stage between stopping wet and too dry. Right, okay. Just a few minutes makes all the difference. So you start off at the top, and I'm just going to move down like this. I'm going to add in some blue, some of it, back into the green. Getting wider as I go further down to the base. Add in a bit more blue, a bit more green, and then finishing off like that. Now again, I'm going to let the watercolours do their own thing. I'm going to add in a few more darker bits here and there. Darker, certainly darker there, and at the base and underneath. So now I'm going to move it around a little bit. I might squirt this edge, it's a bit dry. just to help it fluff out a bit. Add some more darker, denser colour. Because don't forget, with watercolours, it always dries a lot lighter than you think it's going to dry. So I'm just dabbing in some little darker bits, encouraging it to run a little bit. Again, being patient, allowing it to dry by itself. I'm just going to moisten this edge here with a relatively clean brush. Now my water has lost its cleanliness, but it's a little bit too far over. It's a bit too of a harsh line. Soften that edge a bit, that's better. Good. Now, it's just a matter of letting it do its own thing now. I might encourage some movement sideways to get the feathery effect happening here. Love that. And now on the other side. See, it's created a nice effect there. Right, it's still got a bit of sheen, as you can see, but it's not sopping wet. So now I'm going to add some salt, just on that right-hand side, just to indicate more light coming from that side. And now I'm going to let that dry naturally again, and hopefully the salt will give some of this effect that I had on this one. You can just see it, sort of a speckled effect. I'm not sure whether I've waited too long for that, but we'll see. We'll let that dry naturally, and then I'll be back and we'll do the fun snow bit, which you'll enjoy. Here we are, so I can wipe off the salt now. It's left a very delicate pattern actually. The longer you leave it, the finer the pattern is. I like that. And now the fun bit, the splattering. So what I use for this is just some acrylic ink in white, obviously. I'll just put a little bit out here. A bit more. And I'm going to add some moisture to it because it's often a bit too thick. And I use, this is a hog, although I have other ones. I have a synthetic as well, fan brush, but I like the hog because it's kind of rougher. Get loads of paint on it. And then tap it against something. Lots of lovely snow. Oh, lovely. And that gives that lovely snowy effect. Love it. Love it. Now that's acrylic, so don't leave it on your brushes. Always get them washed straight away. And there's a lovely winter scene to send to someone as a gift at Christmas. I'll be doing several of these. Oh, I love that one. So here they are side by side. Totally different, but also with a similar theme. I used, I like this one better now. I thought I liked this one best, but I like this one better. I'm obviously going to get better at it the more I do, or I'm just going to get blasé and do a mess. But anyway, that is the finished item. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you do, please press the like button. That'll help it get out. Because I've neglected this channel, it's not being put out to very many people, so I need all the help I can get. So please comment down below. Let me know if you're going to have a go at this. I'd love to hear if you do. That'd be great. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I do intend to do more watercolour videos. as time goes on. I'm hoping to be able to free up a little bit more time in my life soon, so we'll see about that anyway. So yes, there'll be definitely will be more watercolor paintings coming in the future, and thank you for all of you who already have subscribed and are still watching despite my neglect. Thanks for watching. Bye.